Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. The Core Guardian is probably the most underrated open world build in Guild Wars 2. But it fully embraces what the class was always meant to be. A protector who is easy to play and surprisingly strong. The best open world builds combine excellent damage with great defense and strong healing. Which brings me to the signature skill of this Guardian build, the Symbol of Protection. It's a skill that deals a lot of damage, heals you and allies inside it, while decreasing the damage you take yourself. What I like about it the most is that it feels like a true Guardian skill. In most games, Guardians are the paladin class that can tank a lot of damage by supporting others. Guardians are more magical than a warrior, deal more damage than a healer, and are typically more forgiving to play than most other classes. Paradoxically, in Guild Wars 2, the Guardian's elite specializations seem to deviate from this class fantasy. As an example, the Willbender feels much more like an assassin instead of a paladin. In contrast with this core Guardian build, you can express the archetypical Guardian fantasy by creating magical fields of light that provide allies with protection and healing by weakening your enemies. So let's talk about the Guardian traits. In the Honor trait line, your most important trait is Writ of Persistence. It not only makes your symbols bigger and last longer, it's also the reason why each and every symbol now heals you and everyone else inside it. To make your symbols even stronger, you use the trait line Zeal. The highlight of Zeal is this trait here, Symbolic Exposure. It applies a debuff on enemies that lets you deal significantly more damage. Beyond that, Zeal gives you additional damage modifiers, so it's a great choice overall. Radiance is your last trait line. What's really cool about Radiance is that it provides you with more than 35% extra critical hit chance. As a result, you can play with a stat combination on your armor that's not just good offensively but also defensively. You will still deal a lot of damage because you get critical hits all the time. To explain the gear in more detail, my tip for anyone who just turned level 80 is to get a set of Celestial armor with Traveler runes, which is what I'm using for this build. It's a great equipment choice for the open world, not just for the core Guardian, but also for all the elite specializations, so you don't have to buy new equipment whenever you want to try out something new. Something I also wanted to show you is a trick to find cheap equipment easily. On the Guild Wars 2 wiki there's a really cool tool called the Equipment Query, which lets you find the cheapest available option for any kind of gear you are looking for. As talked about earlier, the hammer is your primary weapon. However, it has a disadvantage. It's actually really slow. We can fix that though, with a little trick. On your weapons, you can equip 2 upgrades, which are called sigils. On your hammer, you will use the superior sigil of celerity. As a result, you get 5 seconds of quickness whenever you disable an enemy. Quickness is one of the most powerful boons in Guild Wars 2, because it lets you attack 50% faster. What many players don't know is that you can combine the superior sigil of celerity with its weaker version, the major sigil of celerity, to almost double the effect. It gets even better though. In reality, you get 15 seconds of quickness after you disable an enemy, because of all the extra concentration you've got. The more concentration you have, the longer your wounds will last. As a consequence, you will always attack quickly with your hammer, and you will create as many symbols of protection as you possibly can. This core Guardian build is one of the easiest open world builds in the entire game, and you can pick your secondary weapon however you'd like. Personally, my favorite secondary weapons are Sword and Focus. They are thematic, they are powerful, and it just feels great to play with them in the open world. The Sword is the perfect weapon to quickly engage with enemies and deal a lot of burst damage. The Focus, on the other hand, is great to block incoming attacks. The 2 sigils I recommend are the Superior Sigil of Bloodlust to get extra power whenever you kill an enemy, and the Superior Sigil of Rage to get even more quickness. By all means though, feel free to experiment with your secondary weapon and pick whatever you find most enjoyable. Let's check out your skills real quick. For healing, I usually switch between Signet of Resolve and Litany of Wrath. Litany of Wrath is a great choice whenever you face a champion. It heals you for a percentage of your damage, which is typically enough to get you up to full health for the duration of the skill. The Signet of Resolve, on the other hand, passively removes conditions. I like that a lot, because conditions are super annoying, so I often take the Signet when I'm just running around in the open world. For your utility skills, Save Yourselves and Stand Your Ground are 2 amazing options to upkeep the boon resolution. Normally, you don't care about resolution too much, as it just reduces incoming condition damage. However, because you picked the trait line Radiance, resolution gives you extra critical chance, might and damage in this build, so you always want to have it. The third utility skill. You can use that as a flex slot to react to any special circumstances. I like to pick Bane Signet or Hammer of Wisdom for the additional crowd control. What makes both of these skills great is their 20-second cooldown. Remember, the Sigil of Celerity on your hammer gives you quickness every 20 seconds when you disable an enemy. So instead of micromanaging this timing, you can just use your utility skill of cooldown. The perfect elite skill for this build is Feel My Wrath. It gives you just the right amount of fury and quickness to have permanent access to these wounds. The relic I like to use is the Relic of the Brawler. It gives you extra damage every few seconds. That said, the relic isn't really critical, so feel free to test the build with any relic you have available. Something I do recommend though is to buy some really cheap food from the trading post. For just 4 copper, soul pastries give you 45 minutes of extra power, concentration and experience. In addition, you can get some holographic super cheese to boost your power and concentration even further. To finish it off, let's do a quick recap by completing the 0 point in Heart of Thorns. As you can see, you'll deal a lot of damage with this core Guardian build. At the same time, you heal yourself and have access to many powerful wounds. In fact, you'll survive almost everything because of the extra health, toughness and stun breaks. All of this by playing one of the easiest builds in the entire game. So if you also like to play the Guardian in Guild Wars 2, this core build is one of my favorite ways to enjoy all the story and open world content the game has to offer. Let me know what you think, and please like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in the future.